everybody. Jenny Jetson speaking. Hi, I hope everybody is doing well. Thank you for tuning in. Jenny Jetson, Chocolate Survivor, doing another recording. This one, I want to talk about, I need to start talking about the 5 stages of grief. So I just want to jump right in. After I was shot twice, left for dead, and then saved my life and the life of another wonderful Jen. And I got out of the hospital. I needed to get my life back in order. One of the things that I've always liked therapists for is to gauge where I am in my healing process. I tend to be pretty self aware, but I like to have regular check ins whenever I'm stuck or need some advice on how I'm doing, what I need to be thinking about. So I had a therapist that I went to straight away to really talk to about what had just happened to me. And the thing about going to therapy is that it's hard to find somebody that's qualified for PTSD or trauma. That's of a pretty violent nature. So when you go in, you should be ready to console them a little bit. I'll I'll have another episode on that, how really to get the most out of your counseling or therapy sessions so that you leave feeling that you've not only been taken care of, but with a little bit of hope and something to do, which they might not always be, your therapy or counselor might not always be at liberty to do. So, how you have conversations with them, I think, is important, and I can help with that. But what I really want to address is most therapists and counselors today, when you have any kind of trauma, there's something called the 5 stages of grief that was really coined and started by a therapist a number of years back, a woman, and it's every therapist's go-to for everything. It's like a 12-step program for alcoholics, but in the therapy world. It's kind of a standard way to, check boxes in these areas, or at least be able to describe to people for the first time or early on how they're going to go through the cycle of what just happened to them. How are you going to deal with it? And there's 5 stages, and they might not happen in the order. There's no guarantee that they're going to happen in any order. There's no guarantee that they're going to happen at all, or how long they're going to take. Some of them might be happening at the same time. It's not you check one and then another one happens, but they will talk about the 5 stages of grief a lot, and it's valid. It is. What's missing from that is, kind of the 5 stages post grief. So the 5 stages of life, which I really want to get into because I think that's really where the nugget is going to be in helping a lot of people with trauma in the future, moving away from just the 5 stages. But you've got to make a person whole, and then you've got to bring them to life. So, but what I wanted to do first is really kind of go over what my 5 stages of grief looked like now, looking back on it, and to put it in a little bit of context for you. So if you're struggling with things, I thought I could use myself as an example and really talk about how the 5 stages of grief showed up for me. So now I'm looking for, uh, wrote them down. So I am starting with grief, the 5 stages of grief, which are what? Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And this is kind of the early stage of that. So, um, I think it kind of comes, I think if you were to not use these words, it would feel a lot like shock, fear, emptiness, hopelessness, and pain. So that's maybe words that those words speak to me a little bit more. And I also wrote down in thinking about this, kind of an empty void, lack of security, sense of feeling secure in any way, either, physically, emotionally, feeling, that you don't, your hopes are gone. You've got to recreate some new hopes later on. Your dreams are all gone. Your plans are all gone. Your life is just kind of, the rug has been pulled from underneath you. And so, grief is kind of all of these 5 things together, and these are the feelings, right? Loss. Oh, look, Elizabeth Ross, stages of grief after death. But these 5 stages is what therapists use really for any kind of traumatic event. And I think it needs to be expanded because we have to bring people back to life. So this is really kind of a personal recovery. So the first step that I'm going to talk. So the first step is denial. So it's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. What did that look like for Jenny Jetson as I was going through it? So let's see, what did I wrote down? I put down in the very early stages, it showed up for me like being strong for everybody else, not needing any help, really being strong, letting everybody see me, see that I'm okay. It's no big deal, smile on my face. I make jokes, I use humor. So even when I was in the hospital, even when I was in the emergency room behind all the red tape where they put, the gunshot wound victims are the about the favorite thing for people in emergency rooms to deal with on an ongoing and regular basis. So it's whatever the level is, that's like the highest one, A plus. So there's kind of red paint on the floor. It's like everybody's all hands on deck, and even in that situation, I was focusing on other people and making jokes. Who here is a student? Where are you from? Have you ever done this before? Would you like to see my scars? This is what happened. Ask me any questions. Kind of take care of other people and being strong for others, even if I didn't feel great on the inside. My natural instinct is to make everybody else feel okay. Maybe it's the mom in me, right? So especially when my daughter shows up, the fear of seeing your sick parent. I mean, my daughter loves me so much that I can't even sneeze around her, and it's annoying, right? The thought of me being sick, her person. She just has never been able to really be around me being sick unless there was candy and ice cream involved, right? Unless she could have treats with me while I was not feeling well. So, that's how I dealt with the denial. Let's see, what else? I was holding on to, this will not kill me. I'm going to come back for this. I'm going to be fine. Um, that's how I would present myself to the outside world. And I believed all of those things. But at the time, what was happening internally for me was my life is falling apart. And I'm absolutely alone and have to figure all of this stuff out. I'm scared. I'm in trouble and I'm not prepared. So, that's what's behind all of the denial of I'm fine, it's okay. There's a whole lot of stuff to do. I'm not ready for it. Um, this can't be my new normal. I think it's your brain's way of kind of protecting you. It's like the calm before the storm, right? um, you're shocked, you've got wounds, there are other things the life behind what just happened to you hasn't been dealt with, but there's some piece of you that's like, oh shit, right? Gosh, all of those things are my affairs in order. Did I mail that check? What, people are going to be asking me for a lot of information. um, I might not be ready to answer all these questions yet and let people in and let people see what mess my life is in at this, moment right now. So that's kind of how early denial was showing up for me. I felt, gosh, was I, what did I put? Yeah, my affairs are my affairs aren't buttoned up. My will's not up to date. Have I lived, super irresponsibly? If I would have just died, what kind of mess would I have left behind me? Um, so that was a lot of the denial that was happening. And when I think about how to help with that denial and the early stage, so what do you do with that when you're feeling like that? How do you heal from this just early denial stage? And for me, it was you have to open yourself up immediately to listening, to others around you, accepting love and care from others around you. So while I was saying to people, I'm fine, I'm okay on the jokes, what I became really good at right away is saying yes and accepting every single offer that people um, were generous enough to throw my way. And I still do today. If you ask me to do something, I'll do it. If you invite me to go someplace, I'll go, because the offers aren't pouring in. They weren't then. They're not now. We're all super busy. It's very, very lonely when you have a lot on your plate and you feel like you're all alone. But everybody feels like that to a certain extent. So when people offer me things now, instead of being, oh, I don't want to burden you, I can handle the burden of it all by myself because that's my normal way of doing things. Well, you know, I have a different normal now, and maybe my normal wasn't working for me then. I mean, I did wind up shot twice and in the hospital, so maybe it's a good time to try things in a different way and see what shows up different. So, I'm at my bottom. I've only got from here to go up. So instead of shouldering the burden, let's accept some help from other people. So I would, if you feel like this, if you're pushing people away, I would try and accept a lot of those invitations because it's a generous gift to offer. And it's also wonderful for the other person when they get to do something for you. So say yes often, and ask if you need things. So I would say, loving yourself and caring about yourself for sure. When you're scared and in this state of denial, you're really at your most vulnerable. You're going to want to be away from people and kind of ball up into a cocoon and really, shy away from the world, seeing all of your warts. They're going to see, the faster you can get to showing everybody all of your warts, the faster you're going to be able to heal. The more that you cannot hide your current situation, no matter how embarrassing it is, which I'm still trying to get to terms with. Am I going to tell you all everything? So I'm going to tell you all everything. If it means that other people feel a sense of calm and less anxiety because my life was worse than theirs and they did a better job than me, good on ya. And if it makes people more courageous to share and ask for help and realize that no matter what's going on behind the curtain, it's better to let people in than to be there all by yourself. Um, so that's what I would suggest around denial. Forgiveness, positivity, love, and kindness, and being an example to others. Those are the things that I focus on almost every day, and even to this day, is trying to love and care about everybody else around me, because it means I'm present and I'm not in my head and I'm out in the world and I can see them. And I now have this great ability to learn to listen to myself. I've got a great intuition and a great gut, and I've worked on it. Trusting yourself again after you've made huge, colossal mistakes that just blew up in your face. It's very hard to want to trust yourself again, or anyone else, but really yourself. You know what you're capable of. I'm all about responsibility. I have a part in all of this. I really do. So I have to take ownership of that and accept that I have a piece of it, forgive myself, and then move on it and move past it. Because if I blame I can't blame other people, and I'll spend all my time looking for somebody else. Blaming myself feels like something that I can control. It feels responsible, and I have the power to let it go, love myself, and move on. So forgiveness, positivity, love and kindness, and examples to other. That's about it for the first step, early days of denial. Thank you for listening. I think I'm going to dive right into and talk about forgiveness, because that was really big for me. And I'm going to be talking about that a lot. So thank you for listening. I appreciate the time. Jenna Jetson. Bye, everybody. Thank you.